Hi, this is Chris with Haven. We get asked a lot about our underground waterproof connectors. And we get asked so much actually that we actually have made a demo unit that is clear so we can show you exactly why these connectors are the best to use for any kind of landscape lighting. So let's start with the components of the connector. We have the outside housing that has 3 holes in it, so you can have your trunk line in, your trunk line out, and the light itself. We have the dielectric grease filled cap, so this will cover the connection of the wire once it's inside, and we'll show you that. And we have the copper ferrule that you will use to crimp the copper once you've stripped it back inside the light itself. So those are the 3 components of the connector itself. And the tools you will need are a pair of strippers. I like the cheap version. I'm very fast and I prefer these, but you can get any kind of wire strippers you would like, and a pair of crimpers to crimp the ferrule on. So those are the two tools you will need. And let's show you how the connector is made inside. So inside the connection itself, given these are clear, it's much easier to see. So inside the housing, you still have your 3 holes, but you will see inside the housing how it has a 3-legged standoff inside. And this is so when we push our wire through the connector, you can't pull it through to the edge of the connector, and that way we are assured that everything inside is filled with dielectric grease, and you will see that as I demonstrate. We have the cap that's filled with dielectric grease, and we have our copper ferrule. So I will grab a trunk line here, and we will take this trunk line, and we're going to, if this was a trunk line that was going along and I was connecting landscape lights to it, the first thing I would do is I would cut it in half. And then I'm going to overlap it a little bit so I have a little bit of extra trunk line in my connection, so I've got some, it's not completely taut and putting stress on that connector. So I want a little bit of, we call it a service loop, on every connection. I'm going to split the two wires. And then I've got my light here with its 2 wires. So polarity doesn't matter in landscape lighting for most everybody's brands, including ours. And I'm going to connect one side of the wire to our first connector here, and I'm going to slide this up through. This is my trunk line going from the transformer. And then I'm going to slide the trunk line continuing on to the next light up through. And I'm also going to slide one of my wires from the light up inside, just like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get them all kind of equidistant here in length, like that. And then I'm going to strip each one of them back. So I like to put them in the connector before I strip them, and that way I don't have to fight the copper strands going up through the body of the connector. So now I'm going to make them all equidistant again, just like this. And then I'm going to twist them all together. All right, so I've got them all inside the connector, just like that. I'm going to slide the copper ferrule. Try to get all the strands in there, although if you have a little flyer, it's okay. Then I'm going to put them in my crimpers and really crimp down hard. And what that'll make sure is that if there's any stress on that, it will not pull apart. All right. Now, here's the advantage of having that spacer that I was talking about before, is that when I pull this down through, I can't pull it down any farther than that because of that spacer inside that connector. So that assures that everything is covered completely in dielectric grease. Dielectric grease is a covering that never solidifies, so it will always be a grease style consistency. And it is used a lot in automotive, actually. So they will put dielectric grease on motorcycle connections, on car connections, on truck connections, anything automotive that's going to be outside, because it prevents water from corroding the copper. If you've ever seen copper gutters or any copper roofing or anything like that, you will see the corrosion that happens as it turns green. That is very bad for electricity. So you do not want your copper to turn green, because that will cause resistance and heat and cause you all kinds of problems. And you want to protect that wire as best you can, and this is the connector to do it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this inside this connector, and you will see that the grease completely covers all of the copper inside. And then it pushes all the way down through and actually clicks. So now I've got a completely waterproof, sealed connection on all of my copper inside this connector. And then we're going to go do the other leg of the wires. So like I said, each wire has two components to it. Now we're going to do the other side of each, the trunk line coming from the transformer, the trunk line going to the rest of the lights, and the wire going to the light. It's also important that because of this dielectric grease inside, is that even if this is my last light in the line and I don't have a trunk line going to any more lights, so this hole is left empty, this dielectric grease will still prevent water from getting in and messing with my copper inside. So let's do one more, and then we will turn on the light, and then we'll pour some water over it and show you how that looks. By the way, these also come with every light that we sell. So you don't have to buy these extra. You can buy extra if you have to cut one out or something like that if you mess up. But these will come with every light that we sell. So you don't have to buy them to install our system if you buy our lights. They also, each package comes with two, because you will need two per light. All right, we're gonna put the trunk line in first, both sides, just like so. And then we're going to put our light wire in. And we're going to do the same thing that we did last time. So I'm not going to talk during this. We're just going to strip everything back, do the exact same thing. And again, if you get a good crimp on that, then you can't really pull them apart. It takes a lot of force to actually do that. So we're going to slide them back through. You will see that the spacer, again, alleviates the ability to have any exposed copper below what the dielectric grease. You can see how far that dielectric grease comes down. So there will be no exposed copper as we push this cap onto the connector. It does snap in. You probably didn't hear it, but you will definitely feel it snap in to create a secure connection. So now we've got them both wired and ready to go. So I'm going to plug in this light, and then we'll prove that everything works, and then we're going to pour some water over that connection and show you that the water does not get inside the connector. All right, so the light comes on. Now I'm going to get this bucket. We're going to put the connectors in whole side up. I'm going to pour water directly into these connections. Okay, and you'll see that no water gets anywhere close to the copper because the dielectric grease, the water cannot penetrate that dielectric grease inside. So just a great connector. Use it outside. We highly recommend, especially for Haven systems, but these are great connections for any system that you would install for burial landscape lighting. If you want to learn more about any of our products or more about these great connectors. Visit us at shophaven.com or any of the socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and the X. We'll see you next time.